I welcome you all. A deep and warm welcome from me. My name is Undine Flora, and I first of all want to welcome everybody in this room today, in the Zoom room. Welcome all of you sisters and brothers. It's very special for me to be here with all of you. And yeah, I also want to welcome everybody who is tuning in on Facebook Live right now with us, and everybody that is watching on the World Unity website. So yeah, a great welcome to all of you. I also want to say thanks before we start getting into this beautiful work we are planning here to do. And I first want to thank from the bottom of my heart to Mira Michelle, who had the idea of bringing together these beautiful people here, because we're going to do a work with the young women leaning in, walking on the ancient path together in a modern age. So yes, first of all, thanks to Mira Michelle Jones for having the initial idea of bringing us together. And then also thanks to the Temple of the Rising Feminine and World Unity Week, of course, for giving us the space to talk and to share and to be together. But yeah, without further ado, I would like to invite the sisters of this circle, of this panel, to weave together an invocation, a tuning in before we get into our sharing.
I would like to thank the ancestors, the grandmothers, the earth. I would like to thank my guides and all of our guides who are here with us today, who brought us here. And I want to weave into this web unity mindset and mindfulness and truth and warrior energy, warrior of the heart. Thank you. Ashe.
I make a blessing for all the young ones here and the young ones tuning in. May they know that they are powerful. And I call in clarity and compassion and weave the space so that we can remember and share our wisdom together here. Aye.
I call in beauty, I call in grace, fierce love, femininity, flow, and empowerment to hold us and guide us on our beautiful journey today together. Aye.
I welcome the energy and the power of the sun. I welcome the wolves in us who will bring and remind us on our instinct and bring the energy of the wildness inside of us. And I welcome also the sacred sound that will unite all of us with our languages. Aye.
I welcome in the power of growth and the courage to grow up. Ahe.
Ahe. I welcome in the energy of the full moon that we have today, full moon in Capricorn, and welcoming in the light that is shining on the dark and the big dreams that may arise from this, the big dreams that we may envision. I call in our ancestors and I call in our spirit guides, the elements, to support us in this beautiful journey that we have here together. Ahe.
I call in true authenticity, love, and compassion for one another. I call in peace, and unity. Aho, klase ka mati.
I recognize the past, those that have come before us. I recognize the future, those that will come after, and I recognize this moment right now. All of us right here, thank you. Thank you for being exactly as you are right here, right now, in this moment. Thank you for this ability to be an expression of life itself. Each of us here, I call in the elements of grace and ease and trust and knowing that this is our birthright. And so it is.
And so it is. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this beautiful weaving, for this beautiful energy we can sit down and lay into now and get really comfortable together in this beautiful room that we have. We have something very exciting coming up right now because we have come together as the young ones. We're the young ones leaning in our journey as medicine women, as spiritual souls, and all on our journey, all journeying together. And yeah, we came here together to share, to talk, and to lean in together. And we're a very international group and a diverse group. And I would like, first of all, every woman in this panel to say her name and where they live, where they are in the world, where their roots are coming from, and if they also want to share that their age. And then also what they do and how did they get to do that, and how did they start their spiritual path. So that's a lot of questions for a brief introductory round. Okay.
I'll begin. My name is Faye Berkeley. I am from Oklahoma City originally. I currently live in Los Angeles, California. I'm 32 years old. And what brought me to this work is wanting to know more about life in general. I told my boss right out of undergrad that I wanted to learn how to critically think. And he told me, be careful once you open up that box, it never ends. And he was absolutely right. I began on a path of studying yoga, and I fell in love with their philosophy and their language. And it led me to studying energy work. And then I found myself in school for traditional Chinese medicine. And my passion is helping people heal mind, body, spirit, as well as women and all beings tapping into the truth of our sensuality and finding liberation through knowing ourselves deeper and better. So I'm grateful to be here. I thank you so much, Undine, for hosting us. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you. Ahe.
Ahe.
I can go next. So my name is Christine. I go by Chris. And I'm originally from Canada. My family is from South Africa, and I have German, Dutch, and Celtic roots. And currently I'm grounding those roots in Berlin, Germany. I work as a writer and in communications, but I'm also trained as a massage therapist, an energy worker, and a yoga teacher. I went through the Women Medicine Woman training with Mira Michelle, and this helped me a lot to greatly better understand my sensitivities and refine my personal medicine. Growing up in Canada, I was very academic, and I had a very strong connection to nature. My father is a doctor, and my mother loves animals. So I was pursuing the path of veterinary medicine. And in my early 20s, I had a spontaneous spiritual awakening, a very intense episode that lasted about a week. And after this, my path kind of changed dramatically. And I began to study and delve into the mechanisms of healing and conscious expansion. So I came to the panel today because I know what it's like to experience a radical spiritual expansion while still being in a Western frame of mind and a juvenile female body that society often overlooks and undervalues. And I remember how confused and lonely I was at the beginning of this journey. So I would hope by sharing my experience and being here with beautiful women, we can remind others that there are other women, they're not alone in this, other young ones. So I'm really grateful to be here. I hear.
Hello, my name is Sandy Julfian. I'm tuning in live from Almere, Netherlands, but I'm born and raised in Lebanon in the Middle East. But my roots, my family goes back to Armenia. And I'm the founder of Medicine Within, and that's 3 years almost now. And it comes as a creation of different tools that I picked up into my little medicine bag as I was on my own healing journey. And mostly what I do is women's circles, so new moon and full moon, Kambo ceremonies, so working with the warrior energy from the Amazon, and Shakti dance, which is the yoga of dance. And this was not what I studied for, well, at least not in the beginning of my journey, but it's things I'm more than happy to have come through, because it very much teaches to come out of the mind and out of that thinking and struggling mind, to just drop into the body and trust the body and feel good in the body and move from there. And I find that very important, and also in the circles, how important that is. And to work with women and create that safe net for women to recreate whatever relationships or whatever the society brings and find that sisterhood again. And I'm very happy to be here also with beautiful sisters from the Medicine Woman Training and more. And thank you for having me. Hi.
I'm Clara. I live in Berlin, and I came through Undine to this beautiful setting and channel and panel also. Yeah, a couple of years ago, I made crazy experiences, and I realized that this world is so much more than they told us, and that there are many things to experience, many windows to open up and to realize what's behind. And I think the channel that I found to channel the energies which are there everywhere is for me definitely the music. And so my path right now is channeling through music.
Hello, my name is Stephanie, and I am currently living in Los Angeles, California, and my roots originate from both Mexico and Peru. And my spiritual journey started in 2017 when after a breakup. And from then I began studying Chinese medicine along with Phi. And I began to connect my roots from my mom and dad's side in order to understand traditional medicine a little bit deeper. And I am also a Aztec danzante, and practice also a lot of ceremonial traditions as the mascales, or other known as Native American inipis, which are sweat lodges. and other medicinal practices as well, to connect and interweave all of the practices, the traditional practices, to be able to understand myself a lot better so that I can be of service to my community once I am an acupuncturist. And my goal is to work with the community, work with women, and to empower all of those that are feeling like they don't have their power in them, because I felt that before. And so that is my main intention in this lifetime. Aho.
My name is Haley, and I currently live in Charleston, South Carolina, in the United States, on the land of the Kuso and Geechee people, and many more. I grew up in Los Angeles, on the land of the Tonga people, and many more. And I was always very curious, and I always had a lot of questions. As a child, I was called as a nickname 20 Qs, 20 questions. I always had questions for everything, and I still do. And now, instead of it being like a hungry thirst for more outside of myself, I recognize that everything I'm looking for is inside. And I create and cultivate spaces where I allow the inner sense, the wisdom, the knowingness, the feeling, the sensing, all of the sensations that allow me to know that I'm alive, to come online. And I facilitate that for others. And I do that through nap time and playtime. Two simple, I don't know, complex, certainly, and not complicated. And I host it for people of all ages, all stages, and the wide spectrum of play, like the unbridled expression of that who you are, that who you be, and celebrating that with no rules except that it's strictly play, keeping everything outside the stories. I am honored to have the responsibility of being a guardian of that space, of holding a frequency of play. And on the other spectrum, nap time, divine rest, divine sleep, knowing that when we allow our bodies, our minds really to melt, to surrender, to remember that the mind can't do everything. There's so much magic and medicine that our body already knows how to do, that when we allow the mind to relax, to say, hey, I got this, the body knows what to do. And there's miraculous healing that is involved. And I do this by leading people in a guided meditation. And I find it to be a grand honor to facilitate this space, these spaces. And I originally studied so much, though I was really into academia and recovering stories from the past. And I studied archaeology and anthropology, and then I found myself injured on my way to the jungle, and I wasn't able to go. And it was the greatest injury of my life. I restructured my foundations literally from my feet up. And I recognized that it wasn't necessarily my role to go recover stories that aren't mine. Rather, I'm here to find out what my story is, share it, and allow others to weave their own. I'm so grateful to be here. And thank you, each of you who are here listening, those that will, all of it.
Wow. What a strong and powerful group we have. I'm so honored beyond to be here. Yeah, as I said, I'm Undine Flora. And as far as I know, I'm the youngest here in this round. I'm 24 years old. I am sitting in Berlin right now, also Berlin based, and my ancestors have been in Germany, but also in France and in Czech and in Poland, very far back. Yes, and I'm actually studying to be a social worker, and I have feeling that I have a very compassionate heart, and I'm feeling a lot for people. But it took me a while before I realized that I also must step up for myself and start my own process of healing. Because to me, it came always more natural to look out for other people, but not so much for myself. And that kind of brought me into women's circles, and then also into the medicine woman training, like many other sisters here. And yeah, it definitely changed my life tremendously, thanks to Mary Michelle Jones and all those beautiful sisters and beautiful souls that I met in the time and that I will meet. And yeah, it brings me along my journey of being a healer, of becoming a healer, and yeah, recognizing my own wisdom and stepping up and growing into my own power, my own medicine. And yeah, I wish to give this medicine to Mother Earth, to this planet, to bring healing to this planet, to the people, to the animals, and to co-create together, to learn to co-create and to create a new world together in a way. That's my humble wish. So now we have an overview of the panel that is here sharing together. And for what we have planned for today is to actually also guide you through the time. So we want to start in the past and look into old stories of where we stepped up as young women, and then we want to dive into the now and then also into the future together. And we have inquiry questions to guide us on this way, on this journey. So yeah, let's dive right into it with the first inquiry question. And we've already had some stories, but I would like to ask into this panel if there are some stories that you would like to share where you stepped up as a young woman, rising young woman into your medicine. Hi.
Yeah, I would like to share an experience that I've made a couple of years ago, and this really changed my life. It made me understand a lot, and it was kind of the beginning, the impulse of my path of finding my own medicine. Yeah, even if it was a path which was kind of overwhelming at times and scaring, but I think growing is always full of energy and potentials that can be sometimes a little frightened or appear frightening. Yeah, it was very intense. The situation I wanted to share was a situation in which I felt I was in a place, and I really felt that it was not a good place for me there. I had this inner instinct that told me, just leave. You cannot really rest here. And for the sake of keeping the harmony with my companion who I was with, I decided to ignore my inner instinct, and I decided to stay. And that really was a decision that brought my life and the other person's life kind of in danger, in a situation in which there were spirits present that I did not expect it to be there, but some part of my body already felt it. So what I've learned, and like to clear the situation, I found a way. I was confronted with that energy, so I had to start to find my way, to fight against it, and to grow into my own inner power, and to find my medicine out of that. But what I really learned from that situation was that the instinct is a gift. It's a gift given by our bodies, showing it to us with a little, maybe a little feeling in the tummy, or I don't know, a little shaking feeling that shows you, oof, there is something, and the body knows it. Our spirits, they know it, and they give us signs. So what I want to share is, sisters, brothers, people, trust your instinct. It is a sacred gift. And yeah, in this situation, I also learned another thing about myself and about the unity of everything, because I had also to run in that situation. There was, yeah, I just had to. I just had to run, and I felt a little alone in that situation. I was afraid, as I said. The spirits were kind of spooky. And when I was running, I realized that my attention extended until a certain point. And right left to me, there were dogs running, dogs who lived on the streets. And when I realized that they were next to me, they were not barking, they were not scaring me, but they were giving me company, they were guiding me. And that was such an intense experience, because I realized, oof, my sisters, my ancestors, the wolves are running with me. I'm not alone. You never walk alone. I can feel my heart running while I share that. And this is also something that I really learned. We are all always connected. There's a golden net spinned around the world, around all the different windows, everything, us. There's this golden net, and it connects us, and it can also transport power. We can support each other through that net. And yeah, and also all the wisdom of our ancestors. They were all there. And also the moon was there and gave her power. So yeah, I think this was really the beginning of my inner growing, and it was a boost. It was maybe a little too fast for me also, and it needed a lot of patience for myself to work on it and to accept it also. But I think, yeah, it was right like it was. I learned so much, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And for the golden net that was also present around me. Like, for example, my both sisters, who are like sisters of blood, who are right here in this panel with us. And yeah, I'm very grateful for this network, and yeah, for the love which is there all around us and that unites. We never walk alone, no matter how demanding the situations can be. And that's really what I've learned, and that supports me. Hey.
Thank you, sister. Thank you so much for a deep and profound sharing. The chills are running down all my body. Is there another one who would like to share a story from stepping up as a young one?
I'd like to share. So my intention for sharing is to somehow also inspire other sisters that could possibly very much resonate with the story. So like I said, my journey of fully stepping in and starting a company or just moving through being self-employed started around 3 years ago. And before that, so I did my BA in communication arts and my master's in advertising, creative advertising. And as soon as I graduated, I decided I'm not going to work in advertising anymore. And so I haven't stayed in a single job more than 1.5 years tops. So I was always just jumping, moving into different things. And I had this really strong urge to create something, to start something. So that power that wants to connect people and share pearls of wisdom was always there, but I hadn't found that right way. Then I came to Holland and I wanted to start a company in virtual reality, which is a great idea, but not for me. And I was fighting and I was struggling and I was just wanted to, like get in that masculine society and make it. Until as I was working on that project, I went to Thailand and stayed in a writer's residency. So working in content writing there and working on my project. And then the month afterwards, I went to Kopangan and I was like, okay, I'm gonna chill. I'm just gonna see what I can learn here. I'm here for 1 month and I will take it with me home. And that's when women's circles came to my way. I had never been in a women's circle before. I had no idea what it was. And I just stepped into this training that just came my way. And it was a 10-day full immersive. And it was absolutely beautiful. It really felt like this coming home. Like it just came my way and I said yes instantly. And then it just poured all of it into me. And from there on, I came back to Holland, still trying so hard to work on that virtual reality project, until at some point I said, okay, I'm gonna let this go, because the passion, what is really coming and what I want to do, I feel it so strongly, is to start these circles. And of course, then came the voices in my head. But what if nobody shows up? And it's like, who am I? Who wants to listen to me? What do I know? There's all these people who know so much more than I do. And then there were also all these negative self-talk. And then that one voice said, why don't you just try? Just start and see where it goes. And so I took that leap of faith. And of course, there's that guilt and the shame, but my parents paid so much money for my education. So it was really like all over that. But I just had that leap of faith within me and said, just go for it. Just see, just try it out, move. And I did do it. And the first circle was absolutely amazing. And now 3 years into it, sisters come and they bring their friends. And the most beautiful thing about it is, what beats mostly the voices in my head is that space that is created, and that gratitude and that magic that is shared amongst the sisters, and how everybody says, thank you so much, I really needed that, and thank you so much for creating this. So this is actually what pushes me and what makes the voices in my own head just shut down and really come through. And what is more beautiful about it is that before I jumped in, nobody in my family, or I don't know anybody who has done this kind of work. So I really had to take the road less taken. So I had no idea what I was doing. But once I started looking into it, the most beautiful thing is I started it in Amsterdam. So suddenly I see this whole world of women's circles. So, okay, if you want to start a little bit something, you have to look at the competitors. You have to see what is out there. But it was not the competition. It was the most beautiful thing to see that so many women are stepping up and so many women are doing these things. And we're all like beautiful, different flowers in this whole forest, and it is available. So the space is there, and there's actually people working on this, and people we can look up into and look up for, and just choose the kind of medicine that we want. So I don't want to do this much longer, but just wanted to share a little bit of that inspiration. Thank you.
Wow, this is so, so beautiful. Thank you so, so much. I would love to hear so many more stories right now, but we have more questions and more that we want to share. And maybe if anybody feels like sharing more stories, then you can weave it into the next questions. But we maybe move on into the present now, because we have looked at the past and now we can tune into the present moment, because our next question would be, how do you stay connected with your personal medicine in the society, in your life as it is right now? Yeah, I would be very interested in. Feel free to share.
I think it's really important to have community, just like, you know, these women's circles and these coming together and transcending and getting to know where we come from and coming home to our heart, to our truest self is so important. And we don't have to do this alone. We can ask for help. And in a society where we like to do everything alone and be independent, but we are human, you know, we need that social contact, we need each other, and even more powerful to come together as women. And so what really helps me is when I'm going through a hard time and asking myself the question, Do I want to hide? Do I want to just isolate myself? Maybe yes, for a little bit, just to give myself that opportunity to work on some shadow work. But and then coming out of that, being like, calling a friend, calling a sister, hey, do you have an opportunity to talk? I need to talk about something that's in my heart. And just reaching out and being vulnerable, because within that comes a lot of growth and realizing like, wow, like I'm supported, I'm nourished, I have people here who care and love me. And so within my journey, just learning to voice myself and to reach out and to know that I'm not alone here on this earth has been really transformative. I hope.
I will second that. I feel like getting out of the self-inflicted hermit mode, the isolation, feeling like I'm alone and I have to do everything by myself was extremely important. Learning the importance of having those around me that cared and loved, and we're coming also from a heart space, because not everyone around you is going to be able to see things the way that you do or come at things from a conscious level. So I had to be very, I had to choose my friends and my close people very wisely, because as I'm growing, I want people who want to grow as well. And also honoring that. I think another big thing for me was tapping into my heart space and not staying in my mind. So the mind for me would create more problems out of the things that I was going through. So I had to develop my tools, which were prayer, meditation, movement, nature, like I said, community, and finding a good balance between alone time, which would be the prayer and meditation and the reflection, and then also being able to speak and get space held for me from my friends and my sisters, and my teachers. So I feel like a good balance was so important to my journey, and learning how to tap into my divine source, which is my heart, instead of my mind, was huge and is huge. It's a continuous journey. Thank you.
I would like to share. I personally have found deep connection, and one of my greatest tools is writing. And with me, I always have something to write with. And I've facilitated myself on a journey of discovering the stories that come up to keep me small. And the way that I've done this is by writing back and forth to myself. And I do this by switching hands. I have a lot of modalities, but we have a limited time. So the outer view is that I ask myself, are you scared? Yes. Why? I don't know. Okay, let's explore. Did you feel it anywhere in your body? What does it feel like? Ah, that makes sense. And I've found one of my greatest tools is saying, ah, that makes sense. Telling myself that makes sense. You feeling this way makes sense. It doesn't mean that carry on, but sometimes the fear, it wants to be acknowledged. And I find when I'm able to acknowledge the fear that's coming up for me, I'm like, it allows me to stay longer with myself before going outside. And for me, I've found that I've grown up feeling that the world isn't safe. So each day when I rise, I write, I, Haley, am safe. I, Haley, live in a world that is safe. I, Haley, am safe to make mistakes. I, Haley, am, and sometimes it's just I, Haley, am safe until it feels a little more true. And then throughout my day, it's a tool, it's like my engine. It's like the oil that allows my engine to keep going. I will find myself like, ooh, and I tap in and I'm like, is this something that's coming from a past story? Or am I taking in information from right now that's telling me I'm not safe? There's a big difference for me. And it's very important to stay discerning. Is this something that's coming from the past that's saying, you stay small? Or is it saying, don't be here any longer? And sometimes when it's a story coming from the past, I'm able to literally sing with myself and I find a rhythm. Rhythm is a sense that I feel like we've overlooked. It's really the font of all creativity. It's another sense. It is the sense for me. And from my heart, when I'm responding to an environment where I'm scared, my heartbeat will go faster. So instead of allowing it to run and run and run, I recognize that I have the power to rein it back. And how I do that is with a hand on my heart usually, and knowing that I myself am a drum. And I just give it a slower beat. And then I go, I, Haley, am safe. And maybe it's not words, it's a sound, but I allow the feeling, the sensation to come through, and I give it a space to be, not to go to anyone else, but to just return back to from where it came. And I find that I know that I've saved my life. I've allowed myself to keep living in this physical world as Haley because I've been paying attention and because I recognize the power of rhythm. I was once in a situation where very, very dangerous. Someone saw me from far away and came, and with their intention, they spoke out, was to end my life. And I could have hopped up on their level of running and just run with them in fear. And instead, I didn't think about it, but now that I look back, I dropped into a different rhythm and I looked them in the eyes and I said, "What are you doing?" And the way that I said it, I changed the cadence, I slowed it down and I looked. And this human was able to see, oh my gosh, and it stopped them in their tracks. They put their what they were going to use to end my life away and walked away. And it was with recognizing that we have the power to alter whatever situation, whether it's coming from inside or outside of our field, with rhythm. And for me, that is my greatest tool. And thank you for listening.
So thank you so much for all these beautiful views and tools and ideas of creating this picture of how you stay connected. And this, I feel like we could go on in every question for much longer. But yeah, I think we have to go on to the next question, unfortunately. But the next question is also very beautiful. And it is, how do you perceive yourself or the young woman in this society, the role of the young woman? So what is the role of the young woman? And the question is here and now and also in the future. So how do you see the role of the young woman?
I'll go. The role of the young woman makes me think about the maiden mother crone. And what I love about this conversation is that we are setting the scene for every stage to acknowledge each stage. And to me, what that does is that it gives us a little bit of grace and compassion for ourselves in whatever stage we find ourselves in. And then especially when we find ourselves in the transition of going into the next stage. I mean, we don't talk about it much, but the maiden to motherhood transition is huge. And I feel like we have either gone through it very recently or we are all yet to go through it very soon. And to, you know, in astrology, we can kind of reflect it to the Saturn return. You know, we're turning 28 to 29. Saturn sets us on our path, sometimes a little like turning our life upside down, you know. But to me, I feel like it is a stepping into adulthood or literal motherhood. But emotionally and spiritually, what it's doing is allowing us to step more into our womanness, our essence of creating either passions or purposes or businesses or children. And I feel that not all of us are given the same information. You know, if we were blessed to have a mother that really helped guide us, or a grandmother, or an aunt, or a mentor, that's fantastic. But some people aren't given that, and it's kind of can be a bumpy ride. So I love these type of conversations because it's important to allow the youth to know of the transitions and know what it looks like to go from a maiden to a mother, an adolescent to a woman, and then becoming the crone, which here in the United States, that word, you know, can be offensive. If you call somebody a crone, they're going to be like, you know, but to me, it's one of the utmost. I got a call. I'm back. Okay. To me, the crone is one of the utmost signs of respect and wisdom. To me, it's taking the experience of the maiden and the mother into wisdom that is to be shared. And I feel that we see that with some of our teachers and some of our mentors who may not even technically be in the crone ages, post-menopause and beyond, yet they are taking this kind of higher role of teaching the younger generations. So acknowledgement is so beautiful of us in the stage that, yes, we are possibly in the maiden, or we are just stepping into the mother role, but we are to be the crones one day. And what that looks like is facilitating things like this and facilitating mentorship, where we mentor younger women, our daughters, cousins, children, family members, friends, and just pass our wisdom and our knowledge. And I feel like it's very, very important. And I love seeing things like this because it's setting us up to be that crone and to be those mentors and wisdom leaders one day. Hey, thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Faye, so much for this sharing. I resonate with it so incredibly much. Also honoring the crone, the old, the wise woman is so close to my heart. But honoring every woman in every stage is so important. I think something we as a society, we as women should do so much more to carry each other instead of talking each other down. I feel like there's so much more work that needs to be done, that we start supporting and standing up for each other, so we can create these safe spaces for us to grow and to heal and to find into our power, find into our medicine, and empower ourselves. When I feel into the role of the young one, the young woman, my first idea is like, no, she has to learn so much. She's still in the beginning. There's so much she has to learn. And then I look at how many things other people have achieved in their life, and I'm like, oh, I'm still in the beginning of my journey. But then as I tune into this, and also after I have been initiated as the maiden in the medicine woman training, I received a ceremony to be celebrated as the young woman. And in the process of the following months, I've started to learn that I had to accept that as a young woman, I can also share, and I can also be wise, and I can also shine my wisdom and share my wisdom. And that has been quite a huge step, that everybody carries wisdom and that we should all share it, and that we should all get a space to share it. And yeah, I feel like that the young woman should bring new energy into the society, fresh wind, so to say, so we can transform, move on, move forward, and bring up the new. That's what I feel when I think about the young woman in society.
Just to go off what Faye was saying about the 3 stages as well. I felt in my life a lot of pressure to grow up very fast, or to minimize the stage of the maiden, and to rush through and take on the responsibility of what I perceived I needed to carry. And the more I sink into and understand these 3 turnings of the wheel and honor each stage in and of itself, the more space I feel there can be for the maidenhood, or really sinking into that time of your life, this fresh energy, this coming closer to yourself and finding yourself, and this playful way of looking at the world. And yeah, understanding that this section is as sacred as the next without needing to rush into the next has also been a big learning on my path, to really sink into what it means to be young and be okay with it.
Hey, thank you so much. Time is flying incredibly. So we kind of have to weave this to an end. We were planning to have another open space for questions, also from people, from women that were not in this panel. Maybe if there are very short impressions, or something that lays on your heart that you want to share, maybe some thoughts, then feel free to do so. Maybe 1 or 2 would be good, and then we can weave this to a close. So I'm talking to the women that have been participating and watching. So if you feel like sharing anything, you can step forward. And if not, it's also absolutely fine. And we can roll on.
Hi, I logged in I'm waiting for the next session, but I cannot believe what I heard in the 10 minutes that I listened. I'm like overwhelmed knowing that you women are talking about this. I just came from a fitness class. First time in my life I was called a senior. So that's, it was interesting, but I have a wonderful group of women here. We are all at what we call the crone age. I love hearing that word. I think it's a blessed word name. I have a young daughter. Well, she's 20, going almost 26. I just want to say, just flow with life, just flow. When I was your age, we didn't talk about this kind of stuff. So for you guys to be doing that, my heart is just open, just listening to a couple of your little conversations. So flow with life, and you will get your guidance from nature and from others that I think just welcome in, ask the universe, ask the stars or the trees. I often end up in trees when I meditate. Trees are powerful to me. You will get your wisdom as you go, and you women are following the path differently. And I'm just so honored to have stepped into this. And I know I need to let other people speak, but thank you so much for who you are.
Thank you, Suzanne. That's so beautiful to hear. I'm so incredibly grateful for your commenting, for your seeing us and hearing us, and only like catching the last glimpse, but still being so filled. And I feel so honored and so thankful. Yeah, thank you so much. Wow. So I would suggest that we would weave our circle now to an end. Maybe each and every one of us can think of a word that we want to give to each other, as kind of weaving it all together, weaving it to a close. Maybe it's yeah, feel into it, feel into a word that resonates with you right now that you want to share, and then we can go through everybody who feels like, and then we can close it.
I was so touched what Susan just said. I think that was the perfect way of closing this. So with that, I would like to say intergenerational connectivity. Ahe, ashe.
I'd like to add in celebration of life.
Yeah, trust your flow.
And trust the connection of each of us.
Stepping into your power.
Unconditional love.
The power of sisterhood and solidarity. And on these words, we may end this beautiful circle. I thank you all so much. I'm so incredibly grateful for this beautiful round and all this weaving that we witnessed today and that we created. And I want to thank World Unity Week, Sacred Female Rising, Mir Michelle, and every soul that was here with us in the Zoom room and that is on Facebook Live and everywhere. My blessings. Ahe Ashe.